Look, we are no Ivy Leaguers, but these are the moves the Cleveland Browns should make in free agency.
That's right. We did not go to Harvard, but I think we have some very obvious and clear goals this offseason. And if it you haven't heard us before, it's O-line and it's wide receiver for the most part. Make sure you're hitting like, hitting subscribe. Leave us a voicemail. Give us a call at 216-260-3433. Leave us a voicemail and we will play it on the next show. Noah, we put together a little wish list from both of us. Who are we going after? We'll start with you, but I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one because we are putting on our GM caps and really just going full fantasy mode. Tomorrow's video is going to be a mock draft, and I don't know if you built your mock draft off of your free agency, but I'm putting it all together. We're doing the whole shebang. I want my thought process to be clear by additions and subtractions and all the different stuff that we're going to talk about. But let's rip the band aid off, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
My first move is a move that we've alluded to multiple times here on the page. It's a move that I think makes sense for us. I think it's a move that makes sense in general in terms of the quarterback room right now, and that is the Browns trading for quarterback Anthony Richardson. Now, the capital, what we would have to give up for him, that is the biggest problem here. I would give up this, maybe a fourth for him. We have plenty of them in the 26th NFL draft, but I think he makes sense to come in here and be the competition for Shador Sanders, to be the backup quarterback or the starter come week one, however that competition shakes out. I think he fits what Todd Monken likes in an athletic, explosive quarterback. And I think a new change of scenery will really be what helps him to continue his career and maybe get it on the right direction for once.
Yeah, I don't hate this move at all, to be honest with you. In fact, I like it a lot more than Malik Willis, who seems to be the darling this offseason in a lot of people's eyes. I think Anthony Richardson presents a unique case. We saw talent from him, certainly, but that disappeared as well. And exactly like you said, bring in a guy that's very similar, can compete, and by the way, can play structurally similar football, which I think is important in a backup. So I like this pick or this trade. Obviously, don't give too much for it, but I'm on board.
Yeah, I thought that one was going to be an easy reaction for you because we've talked about it and we've both kind of sold ourselves on that idea multiple times at this point here on the show. Why don't you give them your first movie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this one is going to be disagreed with either, because it's signing one of the best centers in football. I think we can agree that Tyler Linderbaum, if we can have him, which I don't know that we can, would be a great addition. He's just 25 years old, already a three-time Pro Bowler, the best center available, clearly. You rebuild that offensive line from the middle out, and you start with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, especially because he knows Todd Monken. He knows how to set the front Todd Monken's way and whatnot. I just don't think it's going to be someone we're able to get. I think he's going to be a New York Giant, and I think they're going to pay him boatloads of money to go there. Something that I don't know if Andrew Berry wants to invest upwards of $20 million into the center position when you think about the draft and who could they could bring in, or Luke Whippler as well. Like he played some during the season, and I think that could be a continuity plan for them at center.
Have
Not
we not
saying I
learned
love
from
it.
the past?
Not saying I love it, but he wasn't horrible when he played center until he got hurt either. That's the problem though. Is he going to be consistently hurt?
No, this isn't anything to do with Whippler. It's you don't go cheap with the O-line. That's all I'll
Yeah,
say. You
that's
don't
fair.
get a Ferrari and then get the cheapest insurance you possibly can to protect that car.
That's completely fair. And I think we should move in to another not so cheap offensive option. And I want to go out there and get Rashid Walker, the offensive tackle from Green
Beast.
Bay. He is a beast. He is a solid starting tackle in this league. Throw him the money. Lock down that position, make it easy so you don't have to try to get a lottery ticket for both of your tackle positions in the draft. He just makes sense to me in terms of what we need, in terms of what's out there. It's looking like he might get, over $20 million as well, but that makes sense at the tackle position to me. That's why I lean this way more. Could be like a 4-year deal, 81-ish million dollars. And, the contracts in the NFL stagger and whatnot. So time will tell in terms of what he actually commands in the open market, but I think he makes a ton of sense for a team that really desperately needs offensive line help.
Yeah, and don't forget that the salary cap increases significantly this coming year as well. So we have a little more flexibility than I think a lot of people think.
I think it's important to note too that with restructuring and all of that, Jack Duffin, Orange and Brown report, he's a cap wizard, and he is putting us at like $70 million with restructures and the cap going up as well. So you might look at some of these moves and be like, "Where's the Browns getting $20 million?" And I will respond with, "Wait until they restructure Deshaun Watson for the 13th time." Go ahead, Eve. Let's push forward.
That's fair. Yeah. Sticking with the O line, I say we sign David Edwards. He's been dominant at that guard position in Buffalo. And listen, I get it. He's going to cost real money now. He was on the cheap there. But a guy that can actually pass protect, that doesn't grow on trees. You don't find it just willy nilly. So, this is one that, again, if we're going to restructure our O line, he's one that I would target and try to get.
Yeah, I think he's a great addition as well. I think he's a great guard as well. In my scenario, with the amount of money that we're investing there, and then when we get to the draft as well, I don't know if we need to sign another guard. I would love to bring up back a guy like Wyatt Teller as well, or what's his name? I always forget the other guard's name that played in place of him. Tevin Jenkins. There it is. I had to just
Ooh,
stall for a little bit. I think they bring one of them back
damn.
as well, and that's kind of their stopgap there. But if they want to go brand new, I don't mind Edwards whatsoever.
Who do you have next, Noah?
I have a wide receiver coming into Cleveland, and that is one Romeo Dobbs. He is the face of wearing the Guardian cap in my eyes, and I can't wait to see that fluffy helmet on our orange and brown field over in Huntington Bank Field. I think he makes sense in terms of bringing in a guy that has a lot of upside. Yes, he's been hurt, but bringing in a younger guy that has a lot of upside, he's not going to command crazy money. Spotrac has him at like 12 million. I think he could command a little bit more than that, honestly, just because of the age. We'll see. Time will tell on that. But I think he just makes sense. You bring him in. You have Judy as your slot receiver, so your number two. You have him at your three. You draft a number one in the draft. I just think he fits everything that we're looking for in terms of a free agent, in terms of getting younger on the offensive side of the ball. And I think he's exciting. I like him.
I don't mind this pick at all, honestly. I went a different direction with wide receiver, but I think we're kind of in lockstep a little bit with a lot of these picks, and we've talked about some of these guys before because they just make sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like there's names that we're attached to, but at the end of the day, we're looking to upgrade offensive line, wide receiver, maybe bring in a quarterback, worry about like slot corner, backup tight end a little bit like that. We're in the same realm. We're just doing it with different names. And I think that's why most of these, and I know what your next one is, and I'm going to give you a pushback on it. So why don't we get to that? But most of these we're in the same page with.
Yeah, let's trade for Brandon Ayuk. I'll say it right off the bat here. You're trading for a guy that has proven capability. San Fran seems to be done with him, number one. So I think we can get him on the cheap, and that's what I care about the most right here. But this is a guy, let's see a resurgence come to Cleveland and turn that career back around. He could give us number one wide receiver for number three wide receiver dollars.
Yeah, I'm not high on it just because of all of his attitude problems. The video of him driving 100 past the stadium in San Francisco, all the issues of him not being you know, in conversations while he was healing with his injury for San Francisco. There's so many different issues with Brandon Ayuk that I'm just all the way good on him. I don't need another ego problem in Cleveland, but knowing Andrew Berry, this is the move we'll make in the offseason because he does not care about character concerns whatsoever, as we've seen.
We can fix him. 4,600 career yards for potentially like a third round pick, though.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't even give up a third just because of all the issues. I think you could maybe get him for like a fifth, which is crazy. But we did the same thing with Amari Cooper, so you never ever know, really.
If that's the case, then just burn a fifth, honestly. Like, if it burns up in our faces, who cares?
That's fair. That's fair. Let's move on to my next move, and I want to lock up the backup tight end position. I want to bring in Isaiah Likely, a I don't even want to call him a veteran because he's only 25, but
Yeah.
a worn, used player from the Baltimore
Oh,
Ravens that
yeah,
know.
maybe not worn and used, but go on.
I apologize, Isaiah. I don't think you're worn and used. I think you're weathered. Can we go with weathered? Does that
Okay.
sound a little bit better?
I don't know, but you gonna call him Unc next? Jesus. All right, go
Well,
on.
we're the same age. Maybe he's a couple months older than me. He's 25. Listen, Isaiah Likely, tight end from Baltimore. I think he's a perfect bring in and be the backup now that David Njoku's gone. I just think he makes a ton of sense for this team. I think bringing in one of these Ravens guys to communicate what Todd Monken wants in the locker room just makes a ton of sense. And I think because you could get him for the low, we're talking 8.8, 2 year contract. That's like nothing for a backup tight end, a solid backup tight end. Some thought he might end up being the number one over Mark Andrews because he was younger. That obviously never came to fruition, and now he's on the market. But I just think he makes a ton of sense coming here on paper. And when you think about the relationships, all of it.
Is Baltimore just planning to keep Mark Andrews instead of Isaiah Likely? Because that seems like an odd move at this point.
It does indeed, but time will tell over there. I don't care what the Ratbirds do. I want Isaiah Likely to be our backup behind Harold Vannon and show Harold Vannon how to succeed in Todd Munkin's offense.
I'd be okay with this. I have a different guy in mind, but we'll talk about that in the draft video. Let's stick with a wide receiver, though, for me, and that is one Alec Pierce. I think he's probably going to resign in Indy and he could command a decent amount of money, but he is value. He just hit 1,000 yards. I think he's on the ascent. I really like Alec Pierce.
So do I. I would love to come in and grab him. I just don't think he's going to be on the market. That's why he's not the guy I went after. I think he's going back to Indy. They put a lot of money into the defense getting Sauce Gardner. They doubled down on Daniel Jones. I think he's going to end up back there as well. So to me, I think him going back there makes the most sense for his career because they look like they will be a competitor to say the least. And I think it makes the most sense for the Colts to continue to keep him there as well.
That's fair. Who's your next pick, Noah? Your
This is
final
my
pick.
this is my final pick. This is Patrick Ricard, the fullback from Baltimore. We had a little butting of heads when we talked about him earlier this week. I just think he makes sense to come in and hold down what is the fullback blocking position for this team for a year or two. Yes, he's older, but he is a damn good fullback when it comes to the blocking side of the position. And with what Todd Monken likes to do, to spend $1 million, $2 million on this guy, that's chump change for the NFL. So I think it just makes a ton of sense to bring him in and be another one of those guys to almost be the connection between the coaching staff and the locker room in a sense.
Yeah, I'll keep my comments short because we talked about this. He's 31 years old and he's a fullback. It's a no from me, dog.
That's fine. I just think it makes sense, and maybe that'll be one of the ones I can put in my win column because I do think he's going to end up in Cleveland. I'm pretty confident in that actually.
All right, we time will tell. We will see. All right, hear me out, Cleveland. Trade Jerry Judy. Uh Here's the thing. Jerry Judy's a good receiver that has been masked and asked to be great because he is not a great receiver. We haven't seen much production from him. The ball bounces off his chest as much as it does his hands. And honestly, while he still has some value, I think we use some picks that we could potentially get from trading him in a positive way. Listen, I included in this video as well as the draft other wide receivers. So somebody needs to go. And for my take, I think we can get value from trading away Jerry Judy.
See, and I think putting Jerry Judy in a slot role is what's going to make it work the best for him, not making him be the great guy in our receiver room, but making him the good, the number two, the slot guy. I think it makes a ton of sense. I don't think we're going to get much from Jerry Judy because he had not a great 2025. So I don't want to give him up for nothing. And I don't think we're going to get much of anything for him in return. On top of the fact that we just signed him to that contract extension not too long ago, people don't like the number value attached to him. I just don't like this
Listen,
move at all.
this is where Laser Eyes Barry comes in, first of all. But second of all, I want to know, does moving into slot have the ball placed right here and dropping it or bouncing off your chest? Does it change that? Because he needs a turnaround, man. If he's going to stay and actually compete, especially if we're going to bring guys in, he needs to show something this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to have a bounce back year, but I'd rather see that play out in orange and brown because we've seen some really good flashes and we've seen good years out of his career. So I'm not in favor of trading Jerry Judy. I'm also not going to be the most upset Browns fan in the entire world if we trade him and get something in return for him at the same time.
Well, here's the bottom line, and I think we can both agree on this. If we protect Shador Sanders and give him actual weapons and stop pretending that we can compete with that line that we had, that's how we're going to build an offense and maybe even do something in 2026.
Yeah, time will tell. Andrew Barry had similar comments in an interview with Nathan Zagura over on the Browns YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, it's an interesting one. Go check it out. It's only 10 minutes long. Put it on while you're on the treadmill at the gym, or for Eric, the stationary bike without the moving handles. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure what that meant, but on that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.